What is going on, everyone? How's it going? It's your host of Hertastic Reviews, Chris here again. I wanted to thank you all for being very patient with this channel. I know I said I was going to get some videos going, and it definitely didn't happen. It's been really busy trying to catch up on some work. I've been working on a script for a short film that I'm going to be working with my roommate Seth. So that had taken a lot of time, and I'm just about finished with it. So I can't wait to get started on that person. Just watching movies and maybe trying to work on making my own movie to share with my friends, and who knows going up after that. Another big thing that's happened in my life lately is this past weekend I went with my roommate Seth and my new good friend Nick. We went to ASIN, Anime Central, which is in Chicago. Well, it's technically Rosemount, Illinois, but it's just outside Chicago. And it's probably the biggest anime convention in the Midwest. So we left Thursday, and we were there from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you notice the Totoro up there, that's from ASIN. So I'm really excited to have that guy. And I also bought a lot of cool posters that I really want to post, that I want to kind of hang in my wall. You'll probably see some behind me in a bit. In the next couple bits that I'll be posting. But other than that, I've also gotten a chance to watch a lot more movies. And one of them that I watched in theaters was Detective Pikachu. And Detective Pikachu was a very awesome movie. I had such a great time with it. It really captured the nostalgia while giving me a fresh new story. It also had really great acting from the lead. And honestly, Ryan Reynolds knocked it out of the park as Pikachu. And it really made... That movie really made a world of Pokemon seem like it's not crazy, like it's not something that couldn't exist. So I really want to live that world. I want to own a Pikachu of my own. I'm sorry, Jonesy, but yeah, just that movie was incredible, and it really hit me hard in my heart because I grew up watching Pokemon as a kid and seeing it on the big screen for everyone else to enjoy and people my own age to share in this nostalgia with meant a lot to me. So I thought for an idea for a new video would be, what are some of those movies that I watched as a kid? Like, what are maybe top 5 childhood movies that I grew up with? Similar to Pokemon with Detective Pikachu. What kind of things did I grow up with? So I accumulated 5 movies from my collection that I grew up with. Not to quote Stuckman a lot on this, but the top 5 movies that really captured my childhood. And then I also have 5 honorable mentions, which we will get started with today. My first one for honorable mention, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. This movie as a kid was awesome for me. I loved the 1980s, even though I'm too young to have watched it when it first came on. I watched a lot of it through VHSs as a kid. And then I grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2000s TV series, which was awesome. It was so cool on Saturday morning cartoons. But I also grew up with this movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. Such a dated jokes movie, which is awesome. They quote Wayne Gretzky. There's a poster of the Critters in one scene. It's just super cool. It taught me how you also have to tip your pizza delivery man. Pizza man's got 13 minutes. But yeah, this movie I can't recommend enough. Grew up watching it a lot. And when you open the disc on Blu-ray, it's a pizza, which is one of my favorite foods. So on from that, another movie I grew up watching is an honorable mention. Didn't make it my top 5 because I didn't watch it a lot. But when I saw it on Blu-ray, I had to pick it up. But that is Spirit. Spirit from DreamWorks Pictures. This movie came out in 2003, I believe. 2002. I was wrong. 2002, a year off. But yeah, Spirit. I just liked it a lot as a kid. It took place in the West during the Civil War. It's just a really good movie about a horse named Spirit who's trying to find his purpose because he's a Mustang. But yeah, just Spirit. Check it out if you can. The next movies is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, the complete edition on Blu-ray. I watched Advent Children on DVD as an early teenager, so 14 or so. And I thought, playing video games as a kid, Final Fantasy was my heart. It just had my heart. And Final Fantasy X being my favorite, there wasn't a lot of good movies. But Final Fantasy VII being the most popular, came out with this awesome sequel to the video game. It had CGI, which I thought looked awesome, and I still think it does look really great. And it's a really solid story with an amazing score. This movie means a lot, speaking of anime, to a lot of people. And when I went to the anime convention, I took pictures with a guy dressed up as Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is an awesome sequel that I definitely recommend. The next movie I grew up with, it just missed out on my top 5, but that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. It is so rewatchable for me. G. Wilder as Willy Wonka, just the classic music in this movie, the characters, Veruca Salt, Violet Beauregard, Mike TV, Charlie, and Augustus Gloop, can't forget him, childhood obesity. This movie's awesome. It kind of creeped me a little as a kid, especially with that guy who's pushing the cart when Charlie's looking at the gates of Wonka, the Wonka factory, and the lights light up. Always scared me as a kid. But I will. Other than that, this movie is a treasure, and it's always going to be a part of my heart. So, there's another one. I said top 5, but I was just kidding. I only have 4. So let's move on to my top 5 movies of my childhood, and I'll start with number 5. Number 5 is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Here on Digipack, but when I watched it as a kid, I watched it on VHS, and I remember how that VHS looked as a kid. It was a regular VHS cassette tape, and it had the white stickers, and the lettering of Spider-Man was in blue. It was like a neon blue, and I loved putting this movie on. I mean, Sam Raimi, say what you want about his trilogy, I think this is probably the best superhero trilogy ever. Maybe that's nostalgia talking a little bit, but honestly, it has a lot of heart into it. And it has a lot of cool action. Peter, played by Tobey Maguire, is awesome. I think it's a perfect portrayal. But I know Spider-Man 2 is probably the best of the 3, but I grew up watching Spider-Man 1 the most. And it's really because Willem Dafoe is Green Goblin. The quotes of this movie, it was just an easy watch for me. I remember like every other day I would like wake up, start the day, popping this one in. But yeah, man, Spider-Man 1 by Sam Raimi is an amazing movie. So yeah, that's number 5 for me of my childhood movies. And now I can grow up, and now I'm an adult, and I've grown up seeing like, unfortunately, Andrew Garfield wasn't bad as Peter Parker, but I mean the movies themselves were not good. But then I also got Tom Holland as Spider-Man now, which I'm really taking a warming to now. After the two Infinity War movies. So number 5. Spider-Man. Number 4, it sounds a little crazy, and don't at my mom. If anything, you should be thanking her. She, as a kid, she showed me a lot of horror movies because she just loves scary movies, and even to this day, she loves watching scary movies, and even obscure, good, bad, on Netflix and stuff like that. But as a kid, she showed me Nightmare on Elm Street as a kid, and that movie freaked me out. First in a bad way, but then in an awesome way where I just kind of wanted to keep watching it. I remember as a 4th grader dressing up as Freddy Krueger to a school dance, made the costume myself. My aunt bought me the hat and mask and the claw too. It was just so fun, and I had that for a long time. I remember my brother dressing up as Zorro. He was a musketeer. I can remember like scaring him with my Freddy Krueger costume. He'd pull out his little sword to try to fight me. But yeah, that's a really great. These movies have a part of me. I remember childhood memories because of these things. But the most I watched as a kid, because my mom bought all of them on DVD, like the 4 and 4 packs. The one for some reason I kept always watching the most was A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. This copy signed by actually the lead, Mark Patton. But I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Now, I know it's probably one of not the most praised of the sequels, but to me, I watched it so much as a kid because I was like, oh yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen that how many times? Let's watch something different. And it's funny that this is a double pack because I'd always watch 2 and 3 all the time because I wanted to know more about them. Like as a kid, I just wanted to explore more about Freddy Krueger. And I obviously binged all of them, but 2 is the one I always remember taking a liking to the most. And I have like no reason as to why. I just really did. And 3 as well is awesome. But this is going to be for 2. 2, it takes place a couple years after the first one. The lead protagonist is a male named Jesse, and they move into the character from the first movie, Nancy, I believe is her name. And they move into her house, and basically the same things happen to Jesse. But man, Nightmare 2, not good at all, but I love it, and to me it's still good. So, moving on to number 3. Number 3 is a movie my dad probably did not like because I constantly begged him to play it all the time on VHS. I think he said I even broke the VHS when I talked to him. And I remember embarrassing myself in public as a kid, singing the song in front of like a bunch of people for like this stage performance. But that is Disney's Hercules. Hercules, as a kid, was my favorite. I loved Greek mythology. As a kid, I remember going to the library as like a 4th and 5th grader and just renting the Iliad and the story of Troy and like reading about it. Just because the Greek heroes, swords were really cool to me. Swords and sandals. But Hercules was just this was like my childhood movie. This and Aristocats. But I remember Hercules the most because my dad always got tired of me begging to play this. I don't know if it's because Danny DeVito or James Woods, but I would say probably because James Woods. But Hercules, if you didn't know, or you haven't even seen it, it won Best Music, or was it like Best Song for the Go to the Distance, which is a really amazing song, by the way. Hercules is an amazing movie about trying to grow up and become who you're supposed to be. And it's okay if you're different, because in the end, who you should be proud of who you are and express yourself. And that's kind of like what I got out of Hercules as a kid. And I think it's kind of affected me now. Like, I say really weird stuff on this channel and to my friends, and, I don't apologize for it. Usually. Hercules, that's number 3 for me. Put on to number 2. Number 2, I really want to know in the comment section below if anybody else has checked this movie out, because I can't for the life of me know anybody else who has seen this movie. But it's Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings animated film. This movie is weird. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I grew up watching them and seen all 3 of them in theaters as a kid. My dad took me to see them, which thanks Pops for showing me to them. But I remember when I couldn't get my licks or my kicks into watching Lord of the Rings, which I did own all 3, the first 2 on VHS. When I didn't have them or I didn't want to watch them anymore, we would go to Family Video, and Family Video always had like a free kids movie rentals. And I remember as a kid, my dad would always say, "All right, you can rent any movie if you behave all week." Because I remember in kindergarten, you'd have to circle each day what your behavior was, and she would keep your name on like one of those little clips on a stop sign or on a stoplight, and it was like green good, yellow he had warnings, and red means you were bad. I always got my greens because I knew once I got all 5 greens for the week, my dad would let me go rent movies at Family Video, and usually it was always Star Wars. It was always the original trilogy. It was always usually Return of the Jedi. So, but there was a few times where I'd get to go to the free rental section, and I would always pick up either let's see if I can find it, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm or Mr. Freeze. Or I would pick up Ralph Bakshi's The Lord of the Rings. So I would watch this non-stop because it was free, so I'd always watch it. And then I would also watch the Return of the King animated film that's after this, but it's not of the same animation, which has always confused me as a kid. But it's actually the animation from the Hobbit animated film from 1977, which I also own somewhere. Yeah, I do. Yeah, this one, The Hobbit, and then it came to this one, and then it had another one, The Return of the King, of the same animation style, The Hobbit, which is weird if you think about it, but I don't know. I love this one the most because it was the creepiest. The animation style is weird. It's like kind of like, I can't really describe it. It's so weird. It's like a cloth with like live action actors behind it, so they're just shadows and voice actors going over. And then you had just the regular animation of the time, which is in the 70s or 80s, I believe. 78. And it was incredibly dark. The ring wraiths looked terrifying in this movie. They had like their hoods and the red eyes piercing through them. And at times in the movie, they looked like really weird when they took their hoods off and would chase Frodo. It's so weird. And Aragorn was a more dark-skinned complexion, and it was more traditional to like his sword. He didn't have a long sword; he had the broken sword, much like the books. So this movie is a more fair adaptation of the books than the movies that probably most people have seen. Just incredibly creepy and cool, and the Balrog is like a gorilla with a whip. It's really weird, but it's cool. Maybe that's why I like horror movies, because like I grew up watching crap like this. I can't really describe whether or not this movie is still good today or not. I know I own it, but I've yet to see it. I probably will throw it into my movie marathon of watching all three Lord of the Rings movies, because I watch it all once a year. But yeah, that's my take on the animated film of Lord of the Rings, because it actually spans Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, and the Two Towers together, which is very convoluted. Thanks, Dad, for letting me go to the free kids section so I could rent this. I actually think I was talking a little too much about that movie, but check it out. I want to know down below in the comment section if you've seen that movie and what is your take on it. Because in my opinion, The Hobbit and The Return of the King are better because they have better songs that they sing. In this, they don't really sing at all, and I like singing. So, my last movie that was a part of my childhood, the movie that really like defined like my childhood growing up. That is Garfield, the movie starring Bill Murray. And I'll explain to you why this is. It came out in 2004, really good year. But Bill Murray is from Chicago in northern Illinois, where I grew up. And, you know, Bill Murray to me is like a god on screen. And, you know, Groundhog Day, Ghostbusters, Garfield. Yeah, Bill Murray. Okay, so if you're staying this long, if you haven't like clicked out of the video, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking with me. Garfield is not part of my childhood. It's probably one of the laughable moments. Garfield is that good. I own it because you have to own Garfield. No collection is complete without Garfield on Blu-ray. So, the actual number one for me, and it's kind of a cheat, but it's gonna be Pokemon, the first movie. Because Detective Pikachu brought so much attention, or not attention, but so much memories that I have of Pokemon. Growing up, watching them on TV every Saturday morning, 4Kids TV, and then it went to the WB channel, and then it was also I had the VHSs of the dual episodes on there too. The episode that stuck out the most for me in that first Indigo League season. There's probably like two of them that I grew up watching the most. One of them was Goodbye Butterfree, which is a heartbreaking episode when Ashley lets Butterfree go. I always remember that one, and I also remember is when he goes to Celadon City and fights Sabrina, but then he has to go to Lavender Town to get Haunter and then come back because Sabrina has like made Ash's friends become like wooden play dolls. Really weird episode, but those are some episodes that really stick out. Obviously, when Ash goes to the Pewter City Gym and trains Pikachu to near death just to beat an Onix, which is stupid strategy as a Pokemon trainer. Just use a freaking different type, Ash. Red's better than Ash. I think everyone knows that, but you know. Pokemon, Pokemon the first movie. When this movie dropped, I had it on that clamshell cassette case. That was badass. I had that, and I love the Pokemon Vacation short that came out before that. Like when you put the VHS in, it's like Pikachu just having a vacation with his pals. So much fun. And then I remember all the trailers for it, for the movie before it started, like when all the Pokemon are trying to fit in the bus and get clamped down by the garbage truck and into the Game Boy Color. I remember that trailer or commercial. And then remember the beginning of Mewtwo in the beginning of the first movie where he's experimented on, and the professor says, we tried to create the world's strongest Pokemon, and then we succeeded. And then he gets blown up. Man, this movie's awesome. I'm getting goosebumps kind of thinking about it. But Pokemon the first movie, Dugong, that meme from the movie, Pikachu fighting Pikachu, heartbreaking. Man, this movie is awesome. And you know what? I could tell that Pokemon, Detective Pikachu took some stuff from Pokemon the first movie, which is great to see. So, I want to know how many of you loved Pokemon the first movie like I did. If you do, give me that thumbs up. I have it here on Steelbook. I bought it literally on New Year's Eve with my girlfriend because I wanted to end the year right and then start this new year right as well. So, Pokemon, the first movie, is number 1 for Chris's top 5 childhood movies. I really want to know what else I missed out on. I know I pulled up Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. I know there's a lot of other different movies we all grew up watching. I want to know some of them down below. If it's Pokemon, tell me maybe more about Pokemon. If it's Yu-Gi-Oh! The first movie, and you got that Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, let me know down in the comment section below. I want to know what else you grew up with. If you love this, if you like this video, show some love. Hit that subscribe button. My name's Chris with Fantastic Reviews, and I'll see you next time.